Maribel Blue with a new Maribel Blue Unfiltered. And today we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight Boston. Yes, we are, honeys, because let me tell you something. The show is a hot mess. I don't know if any of these couples are going to make it, to be honest with you. At this point, right now, after watching week 3, I am questioning every pairing of these couples. I don't know how these pairings came to be, and I don't know who in someone's mind when they paired Steve Moy with Noy, and then she could take his last name and be like Noy Moy. Do you know how that sounds? Hi, what's your name? Noy Moy. And I think because it sounds even more freakish out of my mouth because I have my heavy New York accent that just comes out. So, yeah, Noy Moy. All right, people. As always, if you are new to my channel, welcome. I talk about everything reality TV and everything else in between. And if you are a recurring subscriber, welcome back. I'd love to have you here. Definitely hit that like button. Don't forget that. And don't forget to comment because I want to hear and read what everybody is thinking of this type of show. Now, I don't know if anybody even knows this, but I had blogged on Married at First Sight when it first began, when Jamie Otis and Doug Hayner were on the show. And if you recall, Jamie Otis came from The Bachelor when Ben Flanick, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I think the J is silent. She was on his season, and he ended up going with the villainess of the show, which I think was a shocker to everyone. But Jamie Otis was on that season. It was a bit awkward for her. And I guess she decided to give it another go at finding a relationship with this unconventional pairing of this scientific pairing. And they put people together, I guess, based on their likes, their dislikes, their personalities. Of course, I think that's very, very important when you're putting people together. And I don't know if they're using like e-harmony questions or something like that. Whatever the case may be, um, I still question on how people make these arrangements and then make a sacrifice in getting married to somebody, one, that they don't know, two, that they have to get to know. And even though they're not living in their respective places, wherever that may be, they have like now an apartment building where all the couples get to live and kind of meld their lives in that way. And if they feel that they can move on to have their own lives, then they do that. But for the time being, they are living on neutral ground before they can go into live in their own places. If you recall, I blogged about Married at First Sight when they were in Atlanta. And I believe out of all of the couples, only one stayed together, and that was Vincent and Brianna. And at first, I thought they really were not going to make it. They really seemed like a great pairing. Like for the first times, the experts got it right. Moving on, let's talk about Married at First Sight and everything that's going on here on this show. I did blog about it on my Maribel Blue Unfiltered site, so you can check the entire blog there about the meetings, the weddings, who I'm thinking is going to last, all of this good stuff. So definitely log on there. I created a forums as well, so you can create your own discussions. And yes, while we monitor those discussions, it's not like Instagram or Facebook where they're going to say, well, you can't say that word because it goes against our community guidelines. Okay, well, I don't want to delve too much into each couple and their backgrounds and all that stuff because I there are two couples that I really want to focus on, and that's, of course, you guessed it, Katina and Olajuwon, and of course Alyssa and Chris. and the disaster that is going on there. If by some miracle Alyssa falls in love with Chris, I will be sitting there in a state of shock. But everything that's going on now, I highly doubt that this couple will even make it, even when they move into the apartments. I just don't see it happening. I see it ending probably after this whole honeymoon episode. That's just my guesstimation. I don't know. This is not a spoiler alert, just so that we are clear on that. But those are the couples that I really want to focus on. In the meantime, the couples that are on this show are Lindsay and Mike, Mike the Shark, Mr. and Mrs. Mike the Shark, or whatever, um, Steve and Noi, and who is the other couple? Oh, Jasmina and Michael. I'm trying to get my notes here together because as usual. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Mark and Lindsay. I know I have read some things on social media that Lindsay is coming off like the mean girl because of the things that she's saying, et cetera, et cetera. I think that Lindsay is not being mean on purpose. I think that something happens to trigger that anger and then she comes off mean. I don't think that she is a mean person. Personally, I don't think that she's a good pairing for Mike. According to the coming attractions, when they were all on the boat and they're still in Puerto Rico, and I'm going to guess this is like the second or third day of filming when they were in Puerto Rico, that she's talking about she already loves Mike. Kind of frightening, especially for somebody who wears his heart on his sleeve. Like Mike, apparently, he's been looking for love and all of this stuff, and now he's been paired with Lindsay, who is acting a little obsessed, just a teeny tiny bit, kind of quick to say that you are already in love with somebody when I don't think it's been like a week or so, according to the way they're filming everything. The couples coming together. I thought she was very well behaved when it came to meeting his friend. I thought she behaved really well, but I do think that it's some form of an act. And we haven't seen the real Lindsay as of yet. I think that she's going to come out at some point sooner or later. She does get into an argument with Olajuwon, but how convenient that that argument wasn't even filmed. I don't know if it started on the plane, but she had asked him if he had spoke the language because they're going to Puerto Rico. It's like, look, I've been to Puerto Rico plenty of times. They speak English there. You're not going to offend anyone if you speak English. Trust me when I tell you, they're just not. Yes, you learn the language and what have you, but if the argument occurred because she was like, "Oh, well, you're going to offend people or what have you," like, shut up, Lindsay. That's all I have to say. Like, be quiet because you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, Michael and Jasmina. I really don't have much to say about them. They seem to be right now under the radar of drama. One thing I will say about when Jasmina met Michael's sisters, they made a comment about he seems to assume the worst about any given situation. And Jasmina expressed concern about that because, yeah, like it's kinda like my mom, you know what I mean? Like, you tell her something, and right away, she assumes the worst, and we always made, like, jokes about it. Like, if somebody came to her and said, "Oh, guess what? I'm pregnant," and then my mother would be like, "Oh, congratulations. Oh my god, I hope you don't get a miscarriage." She would do something like that. Sorry, mom. It's the truth. So, that's what it kind of reminded me of, that if Michael is constantly thinking the worst about things and Jasmina is a much more positive person and thinking about the positive outcomes, that may not fare well for either one of them, because what happens is that they will start arguing constantly. So not a good thing. Whether or not these two stay together, I have no idea at this point. It's kind of like a game is too soon to call. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Steve and Noy. Other than the rhyming of the last name, I think that this is a good pairing in the sense that they both have the same type of cultural beliefs. So it seems like, um, but Noy's main concern is that Steve is a freelancer and he does not have a job, like a job, so to speak. Yes, we live in uncertain times. That's a given. And I think for Noy to be putting this unrealistic pressure, well, I want kids and I want to make sure that somebody's going to be there to support and I'm going to have to need him to get a job. Yes, I completely understand that. You want somebody with stability, and there's nothing wrong with that. But goddamn, you just met the guy. Yes, I understand that these people are married, but let's take a realistic approach here in getting to know the person before in your mind you're already thinking, well, I may want to have kids with this person. You may not want to have kids with that person. You're not going to know. There's no way in hell. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just speaking out of my own personal experiences because most of my relationships have been disastrous in one form or another, especially the last one that I call disaster. And it wasn't even a relationship. It always comes up because it's just like it just boggles my mind. I think at this point in my life where I had that terrible experience, it was just awful to teach myself not to subject myself to that type of person. Like once I see it coming, I know to stay real far away from that nonsense. Whether we have a lot in common or whether we don't, there are certain things that I will no longer tolerate in my life. And I don't know why I veered off this. It just always happens that something will always trigger in these relationship shows that it'll just bring me back to such a disastrous time. Yes. So as far as Noi having these feelings, like she's saying that she's feeling like she's falling in love with her husband, I also think as well that when you're kind of living in a bubble, so to speak, and everything is like given to you and you're like living in this paradise and real life, so to speak, is turned off for the moment. It can conjure up and create things that may feel real at that moment. But then when real life steps in, they're going to be out of that honeymoon phase. They're going to be living in these apartments that are made for them to live in for the time being while they're away from their real life, so to speak. I mean, I don't know if these people at some point have to go back to work or whatever the situation is. I mean, we know Steve's situation. He's a freelancer, so he can go wherever he wants. But at the end of the day, real life is going to set in. And I really don't know about their longevity. If it has to do with Steve getting a permanent job, will that make everything okay later on? Don't know. So I have to say, at some point, they show Dr. Pepper. Let me tell you something. I don't know what it is with me and that woman, but when she's sitting there in her little office or wherever the hell that she is, and she's like, and these couples it's just like, calm down, Dr. Pepper. You are just too excited for yourself and this whole show. I did the numbers, like I looked it up, and the numbers of couples staying together, I mean, you're talking about between 24 and 30%. Those are not good numbers for what is it? We're on the 14th season now. As far as I'm concerned, the way things are going, I don't think any of these couples are going to stay together. And if they do, it's not going to be for a long time. I had to step away for a minute. So I don't know what I was talking about before I left, but okay, I'm back. Okay, let's talk about Katina and Olajuwon. I keep saying okay because it's like, where do I begin with all of this? I did my last video blog. I did a whole bunch of shows all at once, and you'll see it on my YouTube channel. It's a modified version because I included these clips from The Bachelor and from Portia Family Matters. And when the video finished uploading, literally silent clips. Um, YouTube completely blocked my video saying I could trim down whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put a modified version, but you can watch the whole entire video on Maribel Blue, unfiltered, uninterrupted, and you can see everything there. I have a way of doing things that I feel is so important for my viewers to watch and enjoy. Um, so it was important to me to have that video in its entirety, just so that you can get the whole feel and the real time experience that I like to share when it comes to these shows. So I am going to share a clip from Married at First Sight. I did share my concerns of this pairing only because Elijah is very much out there. Even Katina's friend had noticed that he's not even sure why he's there. I just feel like Elijah is very much out there. He's too busy running his mouth. He's too busy like this, he's too busy being a know-it-all. And he doesn't take the time out to listen. And I think at some point this is going to annoy Katina. And here's the other thing, like I was talking about before with the argument and all of that stuff on the plane, like it was never recorded. Mike and Lindsay took a separate bus because they weren't with everybody else. And um, Katina makes a comment about how Lindsay was coming off bullying. Again, we don't know because there was nothing filmed. There was no filming. So all we have is he said, she said kind of a thing. I do believe that if Lindsay made a comment about, do you speak the language and you have to speak the language, whatever it is that Lindsay said probably provoked Elijah where he got nasty. And then, of course, Lindsay, being the person that she is, probably went from 0 to 10 and started arguing with him, and that's when it got ugly. I can only guesstimate that's what happened. But I'm going to share a clip with you, and I'm going to Katina and Elijah meet their families in this situation here. And this is how it went down when Elijah had met Katina's friends. And I believe this is the
Mighty chipper today.
Yeah.
How
Great
was that
day.
night?
It was good. It was good. She said I need to work on my cuddle game though.
Oh, okay. It's not strong.
No, I'm not used to it yet.
Yeah.
It's been years since I actually like cuddled with a woman. To
Right.
be real with you, so.
So since y'all didn't cuddle, I'm assuming y'all didn't cuddle.
She has nice lips though. She had a little makeout. It was
Okay.
cool.
Okay.
Well, you know what I mean? It was cool. The vibe is it's not that we didn't. I think me and her just trying to get on a mentor. But I really want to know her.
Not a typical scenario. It's not the kind of method that you need at all. So there has to be something you want out of this process, right?
Absolutely.
It's either you really believe in the process, you believe that somebody can do a better job at finding a match for you,
right?
Or you have ulterior motives.
Yeah. No, I'm here for the right reasons. I feel like she's been around enough.
Oh yeah.
She'll be able to call it out if that is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not a bad-looking dude. I don't struggle with the women category, so I want to try something new.
Trying something new is like a minor change, right? getting married is a final decision. When you say till death do us part,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying because you're saying like you're making it sound like you're just picking
gravity.
up. Yeah, you
Right.
make it
It's
sound
about
like
gravity,
I
seriousness.
get what you're saying.
I really did have an issue with his bull answers. It raises questions about what his intentions are and whether or not he's just on this for attention. That's it. Because he just seems like he's doing it because he wants to blow up.
Seriously, you guys are protectors. Call me out. If you think I'm call me out, bro.
Oh boy. Take that in, everybody. I understand what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying. You see what I'm talking about? Why on earth? First and foremost, what does he do for a living? He's an ex-playboy? Is that his former status of jobs? What does he do? This is a thing that's like really super annoying. The friend, I understand where the friend was coming from. Yes, he's concerned because he doesn't know who this guy is, right? But he wants to understand this guy, his motives. He married her friend and he wants to make sure that this guy is coming correct, right? I think anybody who is anybody wants to make sure that their family members, friends, etc., are coming from a good place and they're not going to get hurt. The thing is that we can't avoid people getting hurt, their heart broken, experiencing disappointment, whatever the case may be. That's just unrealistic to think that one can protect another person by saying, I'm going to help this person avoid getting hurt. It's just the natural elements of life. It sucks. Yes, we don't like feeling hurt, feeling disappointment. Um, but again, if we don't learn these things as part of life, if we don't learn these things, we're not going to learn. We're not going to grow up. We're not going to learn how to avoid those signs of staying away from people that aren't going to be good for us. Even though I share my experience about the disaster that I was in, that experience taught me not to be in a place like that ever again. And once I see the warning signs with somebody else, I already know, hey, I've had this experience with a terrible, terrible person. I don't have to do this again. So, in that way, I learned, right? In this situation where people are paired up, not only are they paired up, but they made a commitment of marriage, she pretty much is going to have to figure out whether or not she wants to be with a person like this. There's nothing wrong with him being freaky, okay? Because I talked about that in my blog. He wants to be freaky with his partner, that's his business. Everybody knows I don't have an issue with that. There's nothing wrong with people, couples exploring in their bedroom, role playing, whatever it is that they want to do. That's their business and their business alone. However, if you have one person that doesn't like being freaky and just wants like quote unquote normal sex, whatever that may be, that may not be a good pairing. And that's just the bedroom alone. Other than that, let's look at the personality and the way he comes off and the way he kept coming off to that guy. Now, the guy, he's over here trying to make a point about that the marriage is kind of like forever. And I have to say, kind of like, because you know what? The reality is, not all marriages last forever. I was thinking to myself, what are you talking about? Like, you're talking to a stranger. Yes, I understand you're trying to find out where his motives are at, but don't think in your head that you know him well enough to assume that he made this commitment and now he has to be in it forever, because he does not. Same way like Katina. Katina does not have to be in this forever. Even though they talk about it as a couple, that he brings it up or whatever. I don't know, people. I don't see this couple lasting at all. And also, if you saw the coming attractions where he said that he's not going to turn down, like if they had a third party in their bedroom, and she's like, why are we even going here? Yeah, hey, he likes it freaky. Let's talk about Alyssa and Chris. Oh my God. I am going to pull up a video that I recorded on this. But I will tell you this. Alyssa and Chris, I don't know, when they were showing them separated, it seemed ideal until they got together. And I know what Alyssa's thinking in her head, okay? Because we have all been there in some form or another, both men and women, whatever it is that you consider yourselves. You meet somebody after maybe talking to them online or whatever the case may be, and then you meet them in person and you're like, I don't think I could be with this person. You just find them physically unattractive and you can't go there with them. There are some people who will just be absolutely repulsed. And trust me when I tell you, remember that disaster I was talking about? Yeah. There are so many different things that are happening between Chris and Alyssa. Now let's go back to the day of the wedding. So I talked about this in my blog, and for some reason I don't know where I thought that Chris was a teacher. I totally missed that. But in my blog, I had mentioned that his friend had said that if he comes off condescending is because he's trying to teach you something. And that seemed to have put off Alyssa immediately. It put her off so terribly that the rest of the evening became, I can't be with this guy. I can't be in the same room with him. And I felt so terrible for him because it seemed like he was absolutely clueless as to what was going on. And even though apparently they had spoken off camera, I don't know if she mentioned to him about what his friend had said. Now, this can go a zillion ways. The first thing that went through my mind was that his friend took one look at her and said, this ain't the girl for you, Chris. And I'm going to do you a favor and sabotage this relationship right now before you get in deep and fall in love and then find out this girl is not the one. Because there are some people who will do that. Now, the other thing was when she had breakfast with the family, because they're still playing everything out. Remember, this is a television show. They got to get footage for each episode, whatever, even if the relationship isn't working out. And this is like, what are we talking about? From episode 1, from when they first met. So as they're playing everything out and going to breakfast and meeting with the families and all of this stuff, has a conversation with Alyssa's friend and her mom, and they assured him, look, this is just Alyssa being Alyssa. She's just getting to know you. She's going to open up. And the mother's completely convinced Chris is the right guy for her, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes mother does not know best. Alyssa is not attracted to this man at all. And upon speaking to his family, when they were talking about, because I think he's a real estate agent and how like he's always on the phone and making calls and blah, blah, blah. And then she's complaining about, well, I can't be second to a career. So Alyssa is spending a lot of time crying and making up excuses as to why she does not want to be alone with Chris. Now she does say, I believe at towards the end of the episode, I can't remember what it is that she says, but I'm going to go ahead and play the clip because like I said, even though she went to Puerto Rico with them, she is still complaining every step that they take. She has a comment to make about it. And why is that? Is because she is not attracted to him.
Oh, we have a gift. Oh, all right. This is awesome. At brunch, Taylor told me that this is sort of classic Alyssa, just give her time. I'm perfectly fine with that. My plan coming into this process is decades long, right? I'm looking for a lifelong marriage. Very me. On a scale of 1 to 10, if a 10 is married for 50 years and a 1 is molasses, I'm fine with a 1 through 10. But I'm not convinced that she's not at a 0. I know that we've talked a little bit about like what we want to do, how we want to move forward, right, with this. How are you feeling about going on a trip like this with me and with everybody else too?
I think I'm ready to go on the trip and like see the other couples and get to spend, you know, like hopefully some time with them.
I got to stop for just a moment, okay? I have to stop because I'm thinking to myself how she just said she wants to go on this trip and see the other couples. It wasn't anything about, yeah, let's go on this trip. Let's see what happens. Let's see how I feel. She's already upset with him that he had this conversation with her friend and her mom and disclosed that things aren't working out the way he thought that they would. So she's already angry about that. In other words, the more he keeps messing up, it's almost like she keeps building these bricks, and the more bricks she puts up, the more he's going to be covered. Like they're going to have a brick wall in between them, and she's not going to see him anymore. And something that was said, I think, in the beginning of this episode, that she said if she had walked down that aisle and she saw a snaggle tooth, and the way they angled the camera on Chris, that you saw like a little bit of his tooth kind of sticking out a little bit like a snaggle tooth. If that wasn't a clue right there, I don't know what is. But let's keep watching.
It's been such a short amount of time and he's just like rubbed me the wrong way. He's trying to yes me to death. He's like, oh yeah, maybe like.
Here's the other thing. Okay. It's not that he's trying to yes her to death. It's that everything that comes out of this man's mouth will annoy her to no end. Whatever it is, whatever this poor guy, I feel so bad for him because I know that he's trying, but it just really comes to a point like, why do you want to keep trying with somebody who basically is treating you like garbage from the get? That's when you need to grow a pair and say, you know what? I'm not going to be treated like this. I understand that this is a show and what have you, and whatever contracts that they sign, but how long is somebody going to go on? Okay, let's continue.
Beach. He's like, okay, yeah, me too.
This is perfect because I know we're going to spend the entire time on the beach, right? That's the goal.
Pretty much. Well, you can go do things like that you want to do.
What can I say? Seriously, what can I say that will make this relationship right? I literally had to stop because I realized that the video that I was showing previously wasn't the video that I actually wanted to show. So here is that video where the argument escalates due to the fact that um, they are in Puerto Rico and they're basically hanging out, but not hanging out with each other. Now, the other couples are noticing that Alyssa and Chris are not really acting as a couple, so to speak. So here is a clip of their argument.
This feels awkward. I want to be happy that we're on this honeymoon because it is a dream of mine to be married and spend the rest of my life with somebody, but I'm stuck not knowing if I should be trying or not trying in an effort to try to make it work.
Gorgeous. Super pretty.
It's gorgeous, but do you want to stay in it here?
I don't think I feel comfortable staying in the same room with somebody like that I don't know very well.
Like, what is that? There was never a point in this process where you put in an effort. I think you went into this expecting the perfect person.
No, I don't expect the perfect
And when you got
person.
somebody that wasn't,
No.
you said, I'm done. I'm not even going to take
Okay,
any
but
steps
I'm telling you that's
to
not
learn
the case.
something.
Okay,
You know,
I'm
I
going to
feel-
stop it from here and just say this. Okay, I want to put up a better video because I don't know what is going on, like why the video quality all of a sudden is slowing down because it wasn't doing that before. But I'm gonna say this in closing because I really want to make this video very short in addressing everything that's going on with this show, everything that is wrong. Okay, and here's what I wrote in my notes. The couple is a mismatch. End of story. Alyssa is not attracted to Chris at all. And she's doing all of these different behaviors. Like she's avoiding the topic instead of just saying, you know what, Chris, I think you're a really cool guy, but I'm not physically attracted to you. And because of that, I can't move forward. Instead, here we are battling and making all of these excuses about how it's not this and it really sucks that we're at this point. And at what point? She just literally got married to him. The point is that she's not into him. He has a snaggletooth. Maybe he's a little overweight for her. Whatever it is, whatever that comes out of that man's mouth, the fact is that she is not into Chris. Now, like I said, I could be saying all of this now, and then something will happen a week later where he will just swoop her off her feet. And I said, like, this would be a miracle, and they would end up falling in love and running off in the sunset. In this case, the way I'm looking at it, Alyssa has pretty much shut down. She feels stuck, she's mad, she's upset, she's crying. Of course, I'm going to insert all of that silent part in here just so that you can see what I'm talking about in regards to everything that is going on with her at this moment. She is not very happy. And you have Chris, who seems to be trying. And at the end of the day, you can sit down and have a conversation with her mom, okay, and have a great relationship with her mom, but it's not the relationship that Chris is looking for within Alyssa. So, all in all, I don't think that this relationship is going to work out. She pretty much checked out is what I was thinking in my head as I was saying work, and I'm thinking that she checked out. She checked out of this relationship. And if you're specific of my guy has to be this height and look like this and have similar features to whoever it is that they're attracted to, and you walk down that aisle and come back to a person that looks like Patrick from SpongeBob, there's a problem. I hate to put it that way, but if you're asking for Lenny Kravitz and you get Martin Short, right? Two entirely different people. And I think Martin Short is cute, but I'm just using that as an example of the difference of what it is that you want and what it is that you're getting. And in this case, if Alyssa was looking for a Lenny Kravitz and you're getting Patrick from SpongeBob, yeah, I would be pissed too. I would still go to Puerto Rico, but I would still be pissed off because that's not what I was looking for. And again, I can only say that for anybody who's thinking about getting involved in this show, if you are out of sorts of looking for a relationship and you think this is the last resort, think about the sacrifice that you're making, because it's not like you're going to meet somebody and 8 weeks later you're trying to figure out what's going on. You're talking about that you are going to get married to somebody. One day you're going to be single, the next day you're literally going to have to take somebody else under consideration into your life. And that's the thing about relationships. Whether you get married or not, a relationship is a sacrifice. It's not about you anymore. It's about both of you together making healthy decisions, communicating with one another. I just say that if the producers of this show are like telling her, keep going, like give it a chance and talk to him, I would be like, you know what, F you, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, you want me to sit with a man that I can't even look at because I'm not attracted to him for whatever it is that she's feeling, and put the guy out of his misery. Like, stop doing that to him. It's not right. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're toying with his feelings too, and it's messed up. Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this blog. Don't forget to hit like. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already. There's going to be much more content coming up. I'm going to be talking about The Bachelor, everything that's been going on there with Shanae and Elizabeth and the disaster there. If it's not one thing, is another. Like I said, I don't know why people get on this show other than they want to show their face and they end up looking like an ass on TV. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Again, thank you for listening. And as always, remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.